Coach's Corner continues now with Coach Allen, our football coach. The Wildcats concluded their high school football season a couple of weeks ago. The work is already starting for the 2014 high school football season. No coach wants to hear that 2 weeks after they finish.
Right.
But
today's world is what it is.
I was over there the day after the season ended. You guys were already working on next season.
Yes,
so.
yeah, we're we're ready to get going for next season. I mean, we can't help but think that we have 18 returning starters, and even though we struggled on Friday night, we ended up doing a lot of good things that we saw that's good for the future, and got a lot of great underclassmen coming up. So yeah, I mean, we can't help but think about where we're headed.
And we played our best football the last 4 games this season too. You look at the numbers and how the offense really kind of hit its stride there, and defensively, I know you were very proud of some of the things the guys did. So not only did we get through the season, we improved later in the season, and I know after that Union game, you guys were heads up because we played I thought we played a great game against Union. We didn't win the ball game, but I know that there's a lot of teams that have been bashed out by those people before. Yeah. And you look at the numbers, we were competitive in that game.
Yes, I mean, we had over, I think, 140 yards or something rushing, or actually more than that, maybe 150 yards rushing. And obviously the punt return, or the fake punt for a touchdown was a chunk, but we would have also been around I think close around 100 yards, especially if you would have taken a couple of losses that our quarterbacks, sacks or such. There's about 2 of them that were negative in our rushing test. That we would have had about 100 yards rushing against Union, and that was most of the game against their first team. So, no, I feel like you're exactly right. I felt like our last 4 weeks were glimpses into what we need to see going forward, and that all sides, special teams, defense, and offense, both did some good things.
Well, we're 0-9. We're playing the number 2 team in the state. And a lot of people would cringe, and I think rightfully so. You're playing Union, they're getting ready for the playoffs, and really from the first day you and your coaches started preparing for Union, you didn't see very much of that. The players were pretty relaxed. I think they felt like going into that game that they were going to acquit themselves pretty well, even if they didn't win the ball game. So if you talk about an air of confidence, maybe a little bit of that. You got to have swagger, and maybe late in the season our guys got some of that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, obviously it multiplies when you're winning on Fridays, but we started playing with some confidence. I totally agree, in both sides of the ball, and our JV team went undefeated, and a lot of those guys are also playing on Friday night, and so they've really know that they can do some good things, and we started to see a lot of good things, like you said, whether or not always be scoring touchdowns or winning games or preventing scores at times. There's a lot of battles within the game that we were achieving, and our guys could definitely see that we were doing that, and and as coaches, we've been preaching how we need to do things in this program, doing things right, and that over time the tide will turn, and that's what we're continuing to preach right now. Like you said, we're going to be hitting the weight room hard. We're going to have a hard off season, and we're going to continue to do things that I think that champions do, and I think over time the tide turns, in my belief. Yeah. It will.
I think the middle part of it, I think you've started that already. You can't wait until the end of the season to start turning that. And I know when you came in 2 years ago, you had to start turning the middle approach, the atmosphere, all of that. And don't you feel like you're to a point, even though we didn't have a lot of success on the scoreboard, don't you feel like as we prepare for the off season and go into 2014, that maybe you don't have to do so much of that. Maybe some of those kids that have played now for 2 years, that are going to be seniors, they're going to be able to take some of that responsibility.
Yes, I'm really happy with our peer leaders, the student leadership within our team. The player leadership within our team, I think, has increased, and we're selling a vision now to our guys about what our goals are for next season, and our guys are really buying into that. They know that there is a purpose for what we do every day, whether it be the weight room or whatever, and it's all working towards those team goals. And then I'm also pushing for guys for some individual goals. I want them to have individual goals on their bench press, squat, power clean, 40 times, or where they want to start. I want to be all district, all state. I want them setting individual goals. Again, that energizes every individual, and they know that if they're achieving individual goals and the other guys achieving individual goals, then our team goals are getting closer to being reached.
One of the best competitions you're going to see next year is within the Ponca City football program. 18 returning starters. That could be higher if we really looked at it. Probably 2 and sometimes 3 deep at any given position. There is going to be a lot of competition to be a Wildcat starter next season.
Absolutely, and that's one of the formulas that make you better is when you have competition within the positions. A guy just can't feel comfortable, and he knows it. I mean, obviously that's been a trademark for the Union Jinx side of it. We're going to have a little bit of that, like you said. I mean, we're really deep at linebacker, both inside and outside. Receivers, we're very deep. Running backs will be deep. Quarterback will be deep.
Offensive line will be deep.
Yeah, offensive line will be deep. So there will be. Yeah, you've just nailed it. Defensive back. We're looking for some new. There'll be some new spots open. It's open. There's a lot of positions that are open, and we are excited about the candidates that we have to fill those positions. And the guys know it too, and the guys are ready to get after it.
Well, I know this team. We got good athletes. We got some good players. They might need to be a little bigger, maybe a little stronger. That's what it's going to go. But when you look at all the positions on this football team, we've got all the ingredients, folks. And then you throw in the fact that 6A gets split next year into Division II, where it's going to be more competitive from a size standpoint of the schools you're playing. That just kind of is a cherry on the top right there, Coach, to have a schedule that not only Ponca, but all these other schools can look at and say, we legitimately can make the playoffs, and then once you do that, who knows what's going to happen. It makes for an exciting time.
Oh, I tell myself and tell guys here how exciting it would be to have a playoff game in Ponca City. As far as and I've heard stories of what it's been like, but I'm just so happy with the fans, how much they show up when we're not always being successful on the scoreboard, like you said. And I still think it's pretty impressive. I can only envision what it would be like, on a November Friday night when we are in a playoff game.
Well, we got the banquet coming up. We might talk a little bit about that, but that's in December.
Second,
we haven't talked a little bit about the seniors yet, but I know the one thing that you feel a little bit bad about is the fact that we'd like to get them a couple of wins before they left.
Absolutely, yeah. And I told these seniors I would have loved to get some wins for them. You're right, because they were a hard-working group of guys that really faced some adversity. They had a lot of character through the 2 years. And there's several guys that I remember when I first got here that they were making the 6:30 a.m. workouts and just really bought into what we were trying to do here. And I'm going to miss a lot of those guys. And I will hope they come around the office, and visit quite often.
Very good. Coach, have a great off season. Josh Outland, our football coach. We'll see you in 2014.